This is our 68 Shelby they're getting ready to start on. We're going to pull the motor and the transmission today. And then we probably won't work on it for a while, but we tried to fit, we got the new fenders and the fiberglass in the front kind of fit, and we'll lower it down here in a minute and let you get a good look at that. But you can tell somebody early in this car's life, they was drag racing it, and they added headers and a blow-proof bell housing and a heavier clutch, and they don't have the original motor in it. It's got a 427 side oiler. You can see that they added to the oil pan to make it a deep sump pan where to hold a little bit more oil, which it looks like that was a homemade job there somebody did. They've added all kinds of stuff on it. This car had nitrous on it. When nitrous very first came out in 1982, they plumbed it up from nitrous, and we'll show you on the top side when we lower it down because it's still all on there. But added a little micro switch here, drilled a hole through the floor and mounted a switch here for the gas pedal to hit to energize the nitrous when you floored it. They did some other, these crazy traction bars. They don't look like much. I thought they was homemade, but in the paperwork with the car is the paperwork on these traction bars. So they were definitely bought in a speed shop here in Indianapolis somewhere. And then they added electric fuel pump to it, which they mounted over here in a remote filter for the fuel system, and all the fuel lines was plumbed with aluminum tubing, which really surprises me. And then they did put some AN lines up in the front, but I don't know why they would have used this aluminum tubing back here. It's got aluminum tubing all the way, run all the way up to the front. I'm going to take all that stuff off and throw it all away. They had added air shocks to the back of it. This is an original staggered rear shock car. Luckily, it didn't hurt the plates. They didn't have them aired up enough to hurt the shock mounting, which usually it does. The old car is pretty clean on the bottom. It was a factory undercoat car, and they put it on pretty heavy, and you can tell that it helped preserve the car because there's no rust on the bottom of it. So eventually we'll get around to getting it all pulled apart, put it on a rotisserie, and steam clean all the bottom side of it, the engine compartment and all that, get it cleaned up, see what it really looks like. But we're going to lower it down. And real light in the front at some point in its life, and the guy had bought new NOS Ford fenders for it, and he took the old ones off and threw them away. And then I've talked to the original owner of the car, and he says now he wished he wouldn't throw them away because they really wouldn't hurt that bad. He said in reality it hit it down low, and he said it just bent this corner of the fender just a little bit on both sides, but it busted this lower panel and it broke the ears off the headlight buckets. So he took all that stuff off and threw it away. So we ordered all the fiberglass from Tony Branda. It all seems to fit pretty good. We've got a problem with this side. Trying to get the clearance for the hood. We had to pull this out. In order to make this headlight bucket work, I'm going to have to fill that in. But I think what they did when they sanded the edge of this fiberglass after they pulled it out of the mold, I think they just took too much off of this headlight bucket. So I ordered another headlight bucket from Tony Brandon. We're going to try it and see if it fits any better. If it don't, then we're going to be forced to fixing this one, but we can fix it and make it look right. Most of the brackets and everything was here. We got lucky that the headlight buckets and all that stuff we found in a box of parts. We were missing a couple of the brackets. There's a pair of brackets similar to this. This is the outer one for the driver's side, but we were missing the outer one for the passenger side. and we was missing the inner one for the driver's side, so I had to buy a new set of brackets because it's side specific. So we ended up buying both sides, and we'll get the headlights mounted in there right. We fit one just to see how it was going to fit, but I'll pull the headlight buckets back, or the headlight fiberglass pieces back off, and get the headlight buckets mounted right and make sure that they're lined up and are going to fit right before we tear the car all apart. But we want to put all the fiberglass on it and mock it up and make sure that it all fits and do what we got to do to make it fit, and then we'll pull it all apart and start prepping everything for paint. Luckily, the original hood wasn't hurt too bad. It had one little nick in it right here. It's the only damage on the hood, so that's an easy fix. We'll fix that. They had done away with the twist locks on it, and they put a lock key type hold down. And he had done that early in the car's life, and we found the original twist locks in a box of parts, and they looked brand new. They wasn't on the car very long when he put the locks on it, so we got those original that we're going to put back on the car. And then all the emblems, he had already bought all NOS emblems for the front to replace them on the fenders and stuff, and we ended up with 3 sets of original the Cobra Snake and the 428 Cobra Jet emblems for the fenders, so that was good. As you can see, there's not much room in the engine compartment, but this was a factory 428 Cobra Jet 4-speed with factory air conditioning, which if it was a Cobra Jet 4-speed with air, it had an oil cooler, and the original oil cooler is still here, and it's in good shape too. So we're going to pull the motor out. We have sourced the correct motor for it. It's at the machine shop getting built now. And those are the original valve covers. So we'll put them back on the new motor. And then you can tell that they put all kinds of aftermarket stuff on it. It's got an aftermarket Mallory high capacity coil, and then it's got one of the very first 7A ignition boxes, MSD 7A box. It's got a Mallory distributor, and then the hoses. They actually took the 2 4-barrel intakes, sent it out to California to a place out there that specialized in nitrous systems, and they had it all plumbed underneath the bottom of the intake so you can't see it. It's all port-injected nitrous. And, they've got it all hidden, and there's one port in the back of the intake where the nitrous feed line runs into the back of the intake back there, and it's so congested back there that you can't see it anyway, but pretty unique. Really surprised me that early in the nitrous business that they would have done that to this car. But and then the guy said that he never got to race it, never got to drive it with the nitrous because they built a new motor for it, got it all in the car and fired it up, and it was making a noise, and they pulled valve covers off, and there were some metal shavings up in the top of the valve covers from the valve train or something wasn't right. So the guy got discouraged and pushed it in the back of his 2-car garage, and it's sat there for 30 years. So the motor's been rebuilt, don't have any miles on it, but it's been sat a long time.
Well, let me stop.
Okay. You ready?
Yep.
So that's the story with the nitrous. And we're going to take all that crap off of it and put the car back all original. We've sourced the original air cleaner and the snorkel and S-tube and the heat shield and all the smog tubes and all the smog pump and hoses and all that. When we put the new motor in there, it'll be just like it came off the showroom floor. Then on the inside, they changed the seats. They put 69 Mach 1 seats in it, these seats was out of a wrecked 69 Mach 1 that he bought those in 1980. And they're in nice shape. We're going to pull them out. I've got a set of nice original 68 low back bucket seats that are supposed to be in it. And we're going to have them recovered and put them in, and then we'll freshen up all the interior. You can see all the gauges that they've added, and it's supposed to have 2 gauges in the console side by side, and he changed them, made them up and down, and then added all them dummy lights on the front of the console, and then he added 3 gauges on the right hand side of the dash, which we've got to take all of that out. Added a CB in it, which we'll take out. And then they put an overhead console in it with a stereo and a boom box, and it's got an amp and all in it. Thing actually sounded pretty good. We stuck a battery in it, and the stereo and everything works, but definitely isn't correct for the car. We're going to pull all that stuff out of it. The aftermarket steering wheel, we're going to pull it out. The guy, when he built it, he spent some money on it. There ain't no question. Something that I really found surprising, they had put these turbine-style wheels on it, which was popular back in that day. And then he had some spinner hubcaps made for the to fit those wheels. And he actually bought 69 NOS 69 Shelby center caps, and then sent these down and had them machined. And they actually made the centerpiece to go through the wheel for the center cap. And then I talked to the original owner, and he was all proud of these. They actually threaded them in 2 different directions for each side of the car. So there's a left-hand thread, 2 of them are left-hand thread, and 2 of them are right-hand thread to put the spinner on, and then a little lug nut. But he had all those made, the spinner and everything. So, and they're solid billet aluminum. I bet you they'll clean up, look pretty cool, but we'll find something to use them on one of these days, I'm sure. Then he machined the hole out in the center so the wheel center cap would pop on them. Pretty cool. That took a lot of time. Somebody took a lot of time and a lot of effort to make those. Other than that, it's a pretty solid old car. It had been repainted one time before. We noticed that it had been hit on this side over here. I didn't realize it until we got it up in the air and really got to looking at it. This rocker down here at the bottom, looks like he ran over something, and it dented up the rocker, so it's got a little bit of Bondo in it, so we'll grind all that out and see what's really there. They also put 69 sport mirrors on it. This should have a chrome mirror, totally different than that. They should be the same as what's on my car up there, but so we got to take those off and put the correct ones on it. But other than that, it had the original grille in it, but they had cut holes in it and put some aircraft landing lights, like the 67 inboard lights was on a 67 Shelby. So we took all the mounts and stuff that they had made and had them mounted in there, took all that off. So we bought a new grill for it. Although the original grill was still in good shape, other than they cut holes in it. But we was missing the Lucas fog lights, which luckily I have a real nice set that I've had for a long time, so we're going to use it on this car. This is the right car to use them on. And other than that, that's all the expensive stuff. We've got everything else now for it. They cut the air plenum. This is a ram air hood. They trimmed out the plenum in the back so that this oval air cleaner would clear the plenum, so we're going to have to fiberglass that back in and fix that, but that won't be that big a deal. It'll be a lot better than buying an aftermarket plenum for it. So I think we're going to try to save that one. We'll give it a try and see what happens. Other than that, if you look at it, you can tell that it was taken care of pretty good. It's still got all the factory markings on it. It's got the factory markings on the firewall up there and all the parts on the bottom of it. You can see all the paint dabs and all that stuff on the sway bar and the drive shaft and all that. So